Hey, welcome everyone. This is Bo Howell from Fintech Law. Excited to announce our newest series, AI in the Law. This is going to be a series of articles and videos designed for legal practitioners to discuss the impact of AI in the law, how you can deploy it in your practice, and also some of the ethical and professional issues around doing that. So it's going to be a 6-month series. Our first month, we'll just kind of introduce you to AI. We'll talk a little bit about the technology at a high level and start to get a little more granular. We'll also talk about how it's being deployed in the legal practice today and maybe some of the tools that you could use in your own practice. In the second month, we're going to get even deeper into those tools and technologies, get very specific. I hope to have a series of Q&A sessions where I can answer your questions, but also show you live how I deploy some of these tools in my own practice. In month 3, we're going to talk about implementing AI in your legal practice. So it'll focus from demonstrating tools in general to answering specific questions you might have and specific tools you may be using and how to get the best use out of those tools. We'll get into month 4, we'll start talking about some of the ethical and legal considerations around those tools, making sure you've got proper policies and procedures in place with your firm, protecting your client's data, that you're protecting their privacy, that you're complying with the rules of professional conduct. But we're also going to get into talking a little bit about access to justice and how some of these tools may be used to closing that gap. And then finally, we'll wrap up the last month just trying to build a community, practitioners who are leveraging these tools, because we're still at the very early days of deploying this technology. I was at the ABA Tech Show a couple of weeks ago, and there's a lot of lawyers there that are already using these technologies, but it also became apparent that we're in the vast minority. And as you know, the legal profession tends to be risk averse. They don't like change, they do like precedent. And so we're going to show how that precedent's already being established, how it can be used, and hopefully making this change a little easier, because AI is here. It's going to penetrate the legal industry very deeply. It's going to impact the way lawyers practice today and certainly in the future. It's also going to impact legal education and the type of tools and training that new lawyers need in order to become proficient. So those are the 6 months that we're going to review. So it's going to start here in March. We'll be going through September. If you're interested, certainly follow me along the way. Send me examples that you may have of how you're deploying technology in your practice, questions you have, maybe issues you've ran into. And we've all seen the headlines about the people who ChatGPT created fake citations. They put it in their brief, they filed it at the court, right? We know that's an issue, okay? That's just basic lawyering 101, which is review your work product, right? Whether it's an associate or a paralegal or an assistant or some source that you're using, you always have the obligation to review that for accuracy and completeness. You can't simply blindly rely on anything, including these technologies. This week 1 focus, you'll get an article that we're gonna publish along with these video series. And week 1 is all about what is AI and why does it matter for lawyers. So it's a primer on artificial intelligence. We're going to talk about terms such as large language models. If you are a lawyer and to you LLM means a master's in law, you need to get rid of that acronym and change it to large language model, because that's what LLM means to most industries. And certainly as AI penetrates the law, you're going to hear that acronym used for large language models more often than a legal master's. And we're also going to talk about natural language processing and how each of these are interrelated and how they're different, and then how they're being used in tools today. So even if you're using Lexis or Westlaw, tools that have been around for a long time, that have gone digital over the past couple of decades, we're going to talk about how they're already using things like natural language processing in your legal research. So you may actually be deploying AI technology, not even know it, and you may be using some of these tools and it's just part of your daily practice and you're not even aware that they exist there. So we're going to talk a bit about that. We're also going to talk about artificial intelligence impact on the legal profession. Specifically, we're going to discuss AI applications that are in the market today in areas such as legal research and document analysis, how these tools are enhancing efficiency for lawyers and productivity. We're going to touch on predictive analytics and how that's being deployed in litigation right now by certain firms and how it might be deployed in the future in other areas such as contract negotiation and things like that. We're also going to talk about the benefits of AI in the legal practice, right? So just like email was a new technology technology at one point, just like Westlaw and Lexis going digital was a new technology at one point. AI is a new technology that will have extreme benefits for lawyers. It will allow us to branch into new areas of law quicker and gain knowledge faster. It will allow us to respond to clients faster. It'll improve our work quality and output. There's a lot of benefits related to that. So we're going to get into discussing some of those. Specific examples include speeding up contract review, enhancing the due diligence process if you're doing M&A deals or things like that, vendor due diligence, other areas of efficiency and accuracy that lawyers are using today. I will personally provide some examples of how I'm using it today, and during some of those live Q&A sessions, I'll even be happy to show you how I'm using some of these tools. The article for this week also starts to get into the ethical use of AI. Certainly you've seen a lot of information out there if you've been following the technology developments about data security, making sure that your data is protected, but also that your client's data is protected. A lot of that discussion goes around how are some of these tools maybe leveraging the data that you put into the systems for training their own models. Is that information publicly available on systems such as ChatGPT, or is it private information protected by your vendor? So we'll talk a little bit about data security. We talk about privacy, which goes hand in hand with data security. One of the biggest things we have as lawyers is our professional responsibility to keep client communications and client information confidential. And so we'll talk about how you can do that, leverage these tools, get the most out of them, but still meet your rules of professional conduct around confidentiality. We'll also talk about how the rules apply to things like checking and verifying the accuracy of the information and citations. And we'll wrap up the discussion on ethical AI use, discussing access to justice and presenting some pretty stark data that various entities have put out there, including the American Bar Association, showing that particularly for low-income Americans, 80-90% of their legal matters go unattended. So this is something where we can address with these technologies, right? Whether it's freeing lawyers up to do more pro bono work. So perhaps these tools can allow you to maintain your current practice or even grow it in such an efficient way that you still have extra time now to do pro bono work that maybe you couldn't get to before. But also how entities like legal aid societies, legal aid firms can leverage these tools to deliver more services to more clients on the same budget, right? And then eventually in this series, we'll get into the talk of how non-lawyers can potentially use these tools to address some legal issues that clients may be going through that lawyers just aren't getting to. So we'll talk a little bit about the unauthorized practice of law, how that intersects with AI, but that's a later discussion. In this week's article, we also talk about the future of AI technologies, where they may be going, and I also provide some further reading and resources so you can look at some third-party reports, third-party articles, including things by Harvard Business Law, Thomson Reuters, the American Bar Association, and other sources. So I definitely encourage you to check out the article. Would love to get your feedback on it. If you're reading it on social media, please drop feedback into the comments. If you're getting it through our website, feel free to contact us via email. And if you're watching this video, drop comments in and ask questions. So I'd like to create a dialogue around this and create a community where we're discussing these things live. For the following week, the article and topics will focus on demystifying artificial intelligence. And what we'll get into is understanding some of the basics of the technology. So a little less focus on how it's applying to law, a little bit more focus on understanding the underlying technology, because that is part of your professional obligation, is to understand how this technology works, maybe where some of the risks and issues are with this technology, so that when you're selecting a vendor, you can identify how they're addressing those risks, whether it's things like bias or data security. So if you're interested in this topic, if you're a practicing lawyer but you're nervous about AI, or if maybe you've already started to adopt it, please follow Fintech Law, follow the series, engage with the other users and viewers. Feel free to send me any thoughts and ideas you have on other content that you'd like to see. I really want to cater this to you and help you integrate some of this technology into your practice. And if you'd be interested in participating in some of these monthly Q&As with me, please let me know. I'm always looking to bring other speakers on, other people who've had different experiences. I don't want this to be like a typical CLE where I just go over some high-level bullet points. I really want it to be practical, doing some screen sharing, doing some live demonstration of technology, giving user-specific examples, and then having a discussion around those processes. So follow, whether you're watching this on YouTube or social media, subscribe. I just want to note that this technology is here to stay. You can't ignore it. It's not going to go away. Courts may try to slow it down. Bar associations may try to slow down its adoption, but it's going to continue to penetrate in ways that are ethical and appropriate. And so if you really want to be on the forefront of law practice, particularly practice management, this is definitely the series you should be following. Thank you. Bye.